Hi, welcome to Auntie Nat's Crochet. Today I'll be making a Messy Bun Beanie, Christmas edition. That's why this time around I'm using red and white. And I'm using a 4mm hook because one part of it I'll be using this, some call it eyelashes yarn, some call it chunky yarn. I think this would make it look very Christmas. So we're gonna start off by making the white part. This is super easy to make. This beanie has a hole on top so that your hair can come out from the beanie if you have long hair. Okay, we're gonna start off by making a knot. This is just my habit of making a knot. Okay, once you have a knot, you chain 10. So once you chain 10, and go to the second chain from the hook, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through all. So this is a single crochet. So we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch. We started off with chain 10, then we turn and skip one, because we normally work on the second stitch from the hook, not the first. So this, every row from now, you should have 9 stitches. So make sure you count your stitches, that you have 9 stitches. Do not pull too tight, not your beanie will look not as nice. Okay, there are 9 stitches here. You chain 1, turn your work, and now start to work on the back loop. You see there's 2 V shape here. This is the front loop and this is the back loop. So normally when we do single crochet we take both loop, but this time round we only take the back loop. Every row, just the back loop. Same thing, single crochet, and you make sure every row you have 9 stitches. You chain 1, turn your work, and the same thing, work only on the back loop. If you're doing it for a child, maybe you can start off with less chain. This is a chain 10. It also depends on the size of the head. If it's quite big, you can start with chain 10. Okay, so once you keep doing it on a back loop, you will get a pattern like this. You kind of have a valley and a bump. So I'm going to do this for 50 rows. So I did 2. So I'm going to do another 48. So after 50 rows, I'm going to measure this on the head and see if it fits. It is stretchable. So you stretch it first before you measure on the head. So normally row 50 fits an adult's head. So it's just nice, even though it looks small, but when you stretch it, actually it fits. Because if it's too loose, then your beanie would not be nice to wear. So I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of row 50. So this is how it looked like. So instead of 50 rows, I've measured it on my head. I think I should need 66 rows. means that when I measure it on my head, make sure I stretch it, because this is a bit stretchable but not much, just a bit. I'm using milk cotton yarn, so it stretches just this much. Can you see? So it's best that you measure this on your head instead of using a tape to measure the circumference of your head, because when you use the tape, sometimes you're not sure when you measure here, you're not sure whether how much you should reduce by 2 inches or 1 inches, because it depending on your type of yarn, whether your yarn is stretchable, chunky yarn, single 5-ply yarn, or 3-ply yarn or 8-ply yarn, whether it's more stretchable or less stretchable. And it also depends on your type of stitches, whether you crochet it too tight or too loose. So this is how mine look like. So there's no front back, because the front and the back looks the same. So it's best you measure it on your head. Mine is 66. Okay, this tail I'm gonna hide it inside here later on. So now I'm going to do slip stitch. I'm gonna slip stitch it. I'm gonna join it with a slip stitch. Okay, make sure you have both loops. Join it with the slip stitch. Oops. Okay, after joining with the slip stitch, it should look like this. Unnoticed, you will not know where is the joining. So turn it back, the right side. Turn the right side back on. And now, oops, get it this way. Now we're going to do single crochet along the top part here. So now we're going to work this way up. So this is the circumference of your head, and we're going to work the head this way up. So I'm going to do 1 round of single crochet before I change color. But if you do not intend to change color, you can just go ahead and do it with the same color, the puff stitch. It's going to be a puff stitch. So here I have 66 rows, so I make sure I have 66 stitches plus another 6 more. So maybe around every 10th you do an increase. And hide the tail while you're at it, when you crochet. Oops. Okay, on the 10 stitches, I'm going to do an increase. So about every 10 stitches, do an increase. So it depends whether your circumference is bigger or smaller. So you can add, if this is very small for a child, maybe you can add another 3 stitch or 4 stitches. So mine, because mine I have 66 rows, so I plan to make add additional 6 single crochet. means about every 10th I'm gonna do a single crochet. So I'll come back to you once I have single crochet all around until here. Okay, so this is the last stitch. So I have even number, because for this puff stitch it's best that you have even number, because we're gonna alternate the puff stitch. So we're gonna skip one puff stitch, skip one puff stitch. So if you do not have even number, you might end up with two puff stitch next to each other. Okay, so I have 76 stitches here. You do not have to follow mine exactly, you just measure it on your head and see how stretchable your yarn is. If you think your yarn is very stretchable and you can do with 50 rows, then you go ahead with 50 rows and you should have about 55 single crochet. But mine, because it's not that stretchable, it's cotton yarn, it's stretchable but not that stretchable, so I did 66 rows and I did some increase. So maybe I did too tight, but if it's too loose, I find that the pattern won't be that nice anymore. So it depends, because each person's hand, the way you knit, it's different. So it's best that you just measure it. So here, the last stitch, I slip stitch to the first part here. So instead of continuing, I'm going to change color now. I'm going to change it to red. This is my Christmas edition. Okay, hold on tight to the tail. Here we're going to chain one. Chain one is also kind of lock it, but every row we're going to chain one for the puff. So you yarn over in the same chain as the chain one. Make sure you hide the tail, the two tail, the red one and also the white one to a certain distance, then you can let go. So this is one. Okay, let me show you again. What I did is chain one, yarn over in the same stitch, yarn over, do that again in the same stitch, yarn over, do that again in the same stitch. I'm going to do that 4 times. It should look like a handful. That's one puff, and you lock it. Okay, we're gonna skip one. We're gonna skip one and we're gonna do the next one. We're gonna chain one. Sorry, we did chain one just now. So now we're going to skip one and we're gonna yarn over, put through, pull one up. I do not want it to be too high because I want my puff to be small. I want small puffs. So you yarn over, go to the same chain, yarn over, go to the same chain. I think this one you depend on your type of yarn, whether yours is a chunky yarn, 8-ply yarn or 3-ply yarn. So I'm taking 4 stitches here. If your yarn is too thick, you can use 3 stitches. I mean 3 of it to make one puff. Mine is 4 to make one puff. So here, yarn over. Sorry, chain one actually. Yarn over, skip one, yarn over, another round, yarn over, one more, there's 3 here, and make one more. So that's 4 puff here. If just now I were to hold my yarn firmly here, it's easier to pull out. But just now I kind of let loose on one of it, so it's kind of hard to pull through all. So you do this puff stitch all the way until here, and we're gonna join it with a slip stitch, and I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of the row. So all in I have 38 puffs. So it depends on you whether what type of yarn you use and what type of hook you use. I'm using a 4mm hook, so this is the number I get, and all in I got 38 puffs. So I'm going to join this to the first one here with a slip stitch. So after I join here, I have to make sure the next puff on top here will be in between both puffs. So I'm going to chain one. I'm gonna make one puff here, starting from here, the next one. But make sure when you come back here, you do one more puff here. And all in, you should have 38 puffs. Why? Because if I do here, 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 and then when you come back here, you straight away join a slip stitch, you're gonna miss this puff and you only get 38 stitches. So if you get 38 stitches, it will start to curve a bit. So at the moment, you're gonna kind of curve this way because it's gonna look like a mushroom thing. Here it's gonna like widen and slowly it will narrow down. And this beanie has a hole on top. It's not covered up the whole thing. There'll be a hole on top. So it's like a 3/4 complete beanie. So now I'm gonna do another puff over here, but make sure in the end I'll do one more puff here, and you count, make sure you have the same number of puff. As for me, I got 38, so the next row I should have 38. So now I'm going to do 7 rows of 38 puffs, 7 rows, and after that we're gonna start to do decrease. So here, for those who think that it's kind of hard to pull through the yarn, what I do normally is either you hold your hook way up, or before you pull, you hold tight here. Hold here, pull here, and you can pull through. Well, practice make perfect. Since this is a puff pattern, there's a lot of puff for you to practice here, especially for those who are new to puff stitch and would like to give it a try. This is a good project. So once you have that 4 stitch, you hold here and it will go through nicely. It will go through very easily. So make sure you count, you have the same number of puffs, and you make sure in between 2 puffs there's always 1 puff. So once you reach here, do not slip stitch here, do 1 more puff here, or when you start, you should do a puff here before you jump to the next one. So long you get the same number of stitch, you're doing fine. Okay, this is how it looked like so far, and here you do not see the join line. You cannot see where I join, because this is the last stitch. So when you have the last stitch, let me show you on a white surface. When you have a last stitch, see the rest are boxes. The rest are like in boxes, but this one there's a line here. So I'm gonna make a slip stitch. This is how I join to the front. I'm gonna make a slip stitch with the first one. Oh, sorry. So once I make a slip stitch, you will see something like this. So this later I'm gonna make one puff here, so the puff will somehow cover up all this, so you cannot see the joining stitch, the slip stitch part. So now for the next row we're gonna do decrease. I have already 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, already 7 row. So now I'm gonna do decrease. Decrease here, I'm gonna start with the decrease. So once I slip stitch, I'm gonna do decrease, decrease, and then 3 puff. 1 2 3, 3 puff and then a decrease, and 3 puff and a decrease. So depending on how many puff you have and how wide is your beanie, so you do 3 decrease, 3 decrease, and the balance you just take a look and see whether you should do a puff or a decrease. So the decrease is for the decrease, you yarn over and you pull through 3 times on the first space here. You yarn over and you pull through 3 times in the next space. Pull through 3 times in the first space, pull through 3 times in the next space. So for those who think it's hard to pull this through, you hold here and pull through the yarn. And then you chain 1 and you continue to do the pop. 1 2 3 4. So this is 1 puff. This is 2 puff. Oops. This is 3 puff, a decrease, 3 puff. Now another decrease. Yarn over, pull through 3 times. 1 2 3. Yarn over, pull through 3 times in the next space. 3 times here, 3 times here, and pull through all. And you yarn over. Sorry, not yarn over, chain 1. So after that, you're going to do 3 puff and a decrease. So my 3 puff and a decrease. Wait, and here, okay, this is the last one. So here will be a decrease, then 3 puff, and I should have a decrease here. This is my decrease, 3 puff, and I have another decrease here. So this decrease, and here a decrease, and this slip stitch part is going to be a puff. Then it kind of cover up this space here, this line here, so that you cannot see all my joining line. So this is a decrease row, and I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of the row. Okay, now the last one, I'm going to do a decrease on this slip stitch part to cover this slip stitch V shape here. So once I do a slip puff here, you will not see where is my joining. Without the puff, you can see this line here is like the joining line. So this is a decrease, the last decrease. And after that, the next one, I'm going to do 1 puff. This is the last puff for this row. Okay, last puff on the slip stitch part here. So you see, you can see the joining. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting the camera. Okay, so now for this next row, I just slip stitch to the first one here. So after I slip stitch to the first one here, this row we're going to do 2 puff followed by a decrease. So you're going to do 2 puff, decrease, 2 puff, decrease. So in the end here, there'll be a decrease here and there'll be 2 puff. So depending on how many puff you will get, because it depends on how wide is your head and what sort of yarn you're using. So here I'm going to make 2 puff. And I'm going to do a decrease. So this row, it's 2 puff and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3. This is the puff 2 together. 1, 2, 3. So 2 puff, a decrease. And this is my slip stitch. And later I'm going to make 1 more puff here and cover this up. Okay, this is how it look like. It start to curve in. So here, the last one here, I'm going to do 1 more puff. This is the spot where I did my slip stitch. So 1 more puff, I slip stitch here and I do a decrease. So after the decrease, I'm going to do 2 puff, decrease, 2 puff and decrease. So here, this is the last part, for this row. So I'm going to do a puff here to cover this slip stitch here. So you won't be able to see where is my slip stitch. So after this, I'm gonna slip stitch to the first one. Oops, sorry. And here I'm gonna start with a decrease. So after the decrease, it's gonna be 2 puff, decrease, 2 puff, and decrease. So I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of the row. I have 10 rows here all together, and this is the end. So now I have slip stitch to the first. Oops. I have slip stitch to the first. I have slip stitch to the first, and I'm going to do a single crochet all around. Every stitch, 1 single crochet. I'll come back to you at the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of the row. So now I'm gonna reverse and do a reverse single crochet. You put your hook the reverse way, pull out the yarn and do a single crochet, just like normal single crochet. It's just that now we're going the reverse way. You poke in your hook, grab a yarn, poke in your hook, grab a yarn, just like a single crochet, but just the reverse way, and you will get this kind of knot here, this knot. So I want to finish it off with this knot. You just take your hook, go into the next stitch, pull up a yarn and do a single crochet. So this is a reverse single crochet. You can yarn over or yarn down, it's okay. It doesn't really matter how you're gonna grab your yarn, but I just want this twist. So this is the final row. You can actually, I mean, this is ready, you can wear this now, but because of Christmas I'm gonna add some of this here. This is not easy to crochet, so maybe I'll think of a way how to sew it here. I'll come back to you and show you how I'm going to sew it over here. So at the moment, just finish this reverse single crochet. Okay, this part here, I'm going to use a needle. You put through the yarn. These are called eyelashes yarn. So I'm going to sew it here. I'm going to go in and out. The end here, I leave the tail here. Later I'm going to hide it somewhere down here. So once you have this, you cannot machine wash, you have to hand wash, provided you do not want this. But I find it kind of cute since I have this yarn and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So I guess Christmas is the best time. Okay, so you're gonna pull this part here. You can't do fast. So I'm gonna leave some of this up here like this. You have got to work it bit by bit. And bring the fur out. So I think I'm going to make 2 rows. I just cut a strand of this. I measure around it twice. I hope I can get to make 2 rows because I'm not sure if it's long enough because I have to pull some of it out here. So what I did is you just go in and out of all these stitches, but when you pull, the last strand, I mean, you're not going to pull everything. The last part, I'm going to leave it dangling a bit out like this. So you kind of have the fur chuck out like this. So once you do 2 to 3 rows of this, it will kind of look natural, I hope. I'll come back to you once I have about 2 to 3 rows and see what happens. So at the moment it's gonna look like this. This is how the finished product look like. Here I did 2 rows of this floppy yarn or eyelashes yarn, and this is how the top will look like. See the reverse single crochet. You kind of have the knot thing. So this is my Christmas messy bun beanie. I hope you like it, and do subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next